You're the first artist that was signed to his record label, right?
First one, yeah.
And how many are you guys are there now?
Signed to the actual label. There's two artists, is me and then Love the Genius, and then you obviously have Conway, and then there's a few other artists that are affiliated with the label. So you got SK out of Baltimore, you got Lucky Seven, he's from Buffalo, and then you got Shots Almighty, and he's actually Conway's little brother.
Oh shit, I haven't even checked out Conway's little brother. That's insane.
Yeah, yeah. So you can check him out as well.
Were we kind of taken aback when he offered you to be like one of the first signees, or did you guys have like an actual connection at first, or was it more just like, oh, I saw him at this concert, saw him here, saw him there, or could you tell that it was leaning towards an actual connection?
Yeah, so like Conway, he's obviously one of the bigger names in the city. Um, and I've always been on the scene. Like I said, I've been doing it for a long time. Um, so that was how he was familiar with me. In terms of me knowing Conway, like who he is as a person and being around him, I never knew Conway. You know what I mean? Like he would always see me, whether it was at a show or, I used to work at a sneaker store. So that was how I knew a lot of people in the city as well, because everybody would come and get sneakers from the store that I worked at. And so that was kind of how we knew of each other, but we had no connection. So then when, he reached out to me, to tell me that he had some interest in signing me, it was very random. First of all, it was right after I quit my job last year and behind some things that happened with COVID. And, he reached out and said that he had some interest. And I said, cool, like, let's get it. Like, you know what I mean? And, from there, it was a whole nother process. He wanted to see where I was at in terms of being dedicated to it. And, there was different things that I had to do to really let him know, like, I really wanted this opportunity. But it was a surprise because of how it happened. It was literally 2 days after I quit my job. But, I knew eventually, there was going to be some connection made, but I just didn't know when it was going to come. And it came at like the perfect time.
Before Conway showed up, did you ever give up and feel like you weren't going to make any music, or?
Um, Around that time, like I was saying earlier, when I was in Syracuse, the reason why I moved to Syracuse in the first place was because I was so frustrated with, doing shows. There's five people at the shows. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Cleveland. I'm doing shows everywhere. And I just wasn't I wasn't making the traction that I thought I was going to make, because I've always been a dope artist. You know what I'm saying? If I do say this so myself, people have always told me I was dope, but like, it just wasn't translating into paid shows, or it wasn't translating into people, paying for my music like that. If it wasn't I had a few fans, but it just wasn't translating into, it being a career. And so the reason why I even moved to Syracuse in the first place was because I was working at that job I was telling you about for a long time. And, they offered for me to go to Syracuse and go, run a store out there. And so I was like, you know what, man, I'm with it, because I just got tired of, chasing that dream. And it was more so feeling like a dream more and more and more, as opposed to it possibly being a reality. It was really just feeling like a dream. And so that was why I moved in the first place. Not to say that I gave up on it, because even when I moved, I still, I was putting out music, and, before I had my daughter, because like I said, there was a time where I couldn't even really make music because I just couldn't. But it did feel like, when I moved out there, it was because I said, okay, like, I'm just going to try and advance myself in this career, because music wasn't working out the way that I saw it working out.
And how has Conway changed your life besides signing you to a record deal?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've never really had um, I guess more like a big brother or a mentor to kind of look up to in my entire life. I've never really had that. And I think, obviously being around somebody as talented as him, that's going to rub off, obviously, but, just in a lot of different ways, he's somebody that I look up to, with different decisions that I make, or you know, I guess what I could say is he's a really good person, and he's a really good influence on other things outside of music, just because of the way that he handles his business.
Makes sense. And what is your favorite memory with Conway?
Oh man. I think the illest memory that I have right now with Con is going to Atlanta and doing the title show. We did that last December. And it was dope because, I mean, we performed live on title. That's out of this world. You know what I'm saying? And shout out to Conway for even putting us on that show. But what really made it dope was my daughter was actually here. She was here in Buffalo for that show. And, we didn't perform for a crowd. We performed for the cameras. There was no crowd there at all. And so I remember afterwards, getting off the stage and the show was over. And, later on that night, I'm looking at my phone and my daughter's mother actually sent me a video of my daughter sitting in front of the TV. And she's taking a video from behind her, and my daughter is sitting there and like watching me perform on the TV, and she's got like this big smile, and she's just like tuned in. And I'm not a crier. I cried before this. I hadn't cried in probably 15 years. And I think when I saw it it was later on that day or like the next day, but when I saw that video, I was in a parking garage there in Atlanta. And I was actually by myself, thank God, because when I saw it, I just started immediately crying. Like, damn, like this is really crazy. Like, you know what I mean? To be on title, to have my daughter see me on TV, to do that and everything, man, it was a really good feeling.
Have you met Westside Gunn and Benny the Butcher?
Yeah, so I've known Wes a very long time. Shout out to Wes and shout out to Benny as well, man. Like two very, very great individuals, man, two solid dudes. Wes, I met back in 2000, I want to say 2012, 2013, 2012. I got the first Hitler Wears Hermes, the first one. I had a CD. And I think I got it from him. I might have been at the store that I worked at. I think he came through and he gave me a CD, or maybe I got it from one of the stores over on Bailey. I think that was where I got it from. And Bailey, that's on the east side of Buffalo. You know what I mean? I think it was King City. I went in there and I got the CD. But regardless how I got it, I heard it for the first time, and this was, Wes was just starting out. You know what I'm saying? Like he had put out the mixtape years and years ago, but then he went to jail for a while. I had never heard of him. And I got the CD and, I played it and I'm like, yo, who is this? Because this is crazy. It's 6 songs and I'm just listening to what he's talking about, and he's from Buffalo and I'm hearing little references and I'm like, yo, who the hell is this? Like, this don't make no sense. Like, this shit is crazy. And I called my man, I don't know if you know who he is, but Billy Esco.
Oh, I wanted to talk to you about him. That guy's dope as fuck.
That's my guy. That's one of my best friends. You know what I mean? And I called him and I was like, yo, like, have you heard of this Westside Gunn dude? Like, who, like, yo, come over and come hear the CD. And he came over and, man, we listened to it and he was like, yo, immediately, like, yo, whoever this is, like, we need to link up. And I think from there, that's where they kind of forged their relationship. They're a little bit more tight than I am, like with Wes, but it's always love. Like I've been, to different shows with Wes. I've been in New York with Wes. You know what I'm saying? I think when I met Joey Badass, I was with Westside. A few different people. You know what I'm saying? So shout out to the big homie Wes, man. Like, without him, you know what I'm saying, and obviously the other people involved with Griselda, I wouldn't be in the position that I'm in. So shout out to Wes. And then Benny, I've known who Benny is since I started rapping, like since I was about 13. Benny was one of the first people, like when I would be at the studio with the people that taught me how to rap and how to be in the studio, they were like, this is kind of an example of someone from here that is nice and, you know what I'm saying, like can rap and, this is who you need to be like. And my first couple times hearing Benny, it was always like, oh shit, this dude is crazy. And Benny has always been known in Buffalo as a rapper, you know what I'm saying? Like he's always been like one of those staples. He's always been like one of those, okay, if you're from Buffalo and you listen to Buffalo rap, like you know who Benny is. You know what I mean? So he's always been one of those people, and I got a lot of respect for Benny as an MC. He's one of my favorites, to be honest with you.
And what can you take away from like their come up? Was it not until they linked with Eminem, or do you think it was before that? Or
I think it was a little bit before that, because they started building their following, a little bit before that. And I saw it, like, you know what I'm saying, firsthand. I think they signed in 2017. And I had been, even when I was out in Syracuse, like I was bringing their name up, 2016, 2015. I watched it grow into what it is now. And it's just beautiful to see, man. And, I feel like they gave a blueprint in some ways, but because they're so unique, and the time, it was like almost perfect. Like the time that they came, where people weren't really rapping over those type of beats, and they didn't have that same subject matter. Like they made that relevant again. Now they made a way for a lot of artists who weren't doing that at that time, or people who have came into the game now. You know what I mean? Like they kind of paved that way. So in certain ways, like I feel like they really did set a blueprint, but also their story and the way that they came into the game was very, very unique. So you can't follow their story like word for word if you want to do it like how they're doing it now, but they did lay like a foundation to where it's like, okay, you have to plug your pieces in, but you can win this way. You can win this game this way if you plug your pieces in correctly.
Dude, they bring this like crazy energy out of any artist they work with, even from like a 2 Chainz or like a Wale, like, because Wale and 2 Chainz kind of like a mainstream sound, but then when they're on a project with like Benny, Westside Gunn, or Conway, they like bring out this different energy, and it's so exciting to hear when they have like a mainstream artist on.
Yeah, no, for sure, man. I think that's just knowing, who their audience is. You know what I'm saying? And knowing that, okay, if you want to track with these dudes, like, A, you got to come correct, and B, it's like, you can appeal to a different listener. You know what I mean? I think that's important because, everybody is, continuing to try and expand and, just win. And so I think that's what it is. Like they have, like I said, like that cult following. And if it was even hard for me, like I remember when From King to a God, when the Deluxe came out, and I was on 2 tracks on there. I was on Crack in the 90s and I was on Stephon Diggs. Shout out to Conway for that look. But I remember when people first heard like Crack in the 90s, it made people so uncomfortable because they had never heard who I was before. You know what I'm saying? They have that type of following, like that Wu-Tang type of fan base where it's like they want to hear Wu-Tang and they don't want to hear anything else. Like, don't play me anything else. Don't mess with the beats. Don't mess with what they talk about. None of that. Like, I don't want to hear anybody else. I want to hear these guys. And so to, again, like with like the Wale's and the 2 Chainz and then, people like me, like, you that's what you keep in the front of your mind. Like, these dudes are already legends. Like they have those fan bases that are solidified. Like they're not going anywhere. So in order for you to gain that respect of them, you have to come correct.